and you're watching Q&A with Dolly, where I'm answering all questions pertaining to marriage and relationships. I'm a marriage and relationship coach. I've been working with couples for just over 5 years now, and I want to help you break through any barriers that you might have. All right, so today's question is, who should initiate sex? All right, here we go. By the end of this video, I really want to give you at least 2 or 3 guidelines on answering this question. And this is this can be a very, very serious question, because if your marriage or your relationship is lacking intimacy, it can be so incredibly detrimental to the future of your relationship. And I know that being a woman, I started off just coaching women, and not always, but often women would say to me that they didn't need sex in their marriage. They didn't feel like they were the ones pursuing it because they really didn't need it. They felt like it was a chore, a job. And I will say, when you make it feel like a chore or job, you are creating a distance between you and your spouse. If your spouse is a male, that will create distance, because men need that intimacy. They need that release. They need that connection. And often women don't. We find connection in different areas: emotional connection, mental stimulation, but whereas men often need physical. And so when I'm asked the question, who should initiate sex in the relationship? The person who has the least amount of sex drive will often become the person dictating the terms of, the sexual intimacy. If you have low sex drive, you'll often be the person rejecting or saying no. And so that kind of puts you in the driver's seat. Now, if that is you, a lot of responsibility does fall on you, because if you're the one dictating the terms, it is kind of up to you. Build the right setting where those terms are then, communicated. Because if somebody's living in a relationship where they don't know the terms and they keep asking and you keep, rejecting, it can really harm that person's self-esteem. Also, what that person's role is in the relationship, the significance of the relationship, and what it, the connection of it, how that person sees it. And honestly, while it is not somebody's fault if somebody cheats, all right? I will never put the blame on one person. We are all 100% responsible for 50% of that relationship. But if we are not fostering a relationship or the environment of the relationship to be beneficial for each other and to fulfill each other's needs and to foster connection and growth between each other, then we do have responsibility for how, we're taking on the responsibility of the future of your relationship. Now, are you making somebody cheat? No. But if you are in the driver's seat for sex and you are just saying no to sex, day after day, week after week, month after month, and even year after year, you, in a roundabout way, because you're not thinking of the future of the connection of your relationship, that person may cheat. Now, it's not your responsibility. It's not your fault. It's not your job. But if that person is not feeling connection with you and feeling only rejection from you, people will turn to something else. It can be gambling, it can be alcohol, drugs, or another person, because it sucks to feel rejection. It sucks to live in that space. Number 2, so if there's not one person in the relationship that's kind of controlling it, the person that's resisting, then I think it's a really great talk to have. I think that, and this is very doer mentality, people who are very career oriented and think about, very purpose driven in their life, this can work for these kind of couples. So life is too busy, kids are busy, career stress, everything like this is piling up. But you really do love each other and you want to have an intimate relationship. It's just time, energy, that kind of stuff. Then you got to create a sex plan, an intimacy plan, whatever you want to call it. Create that time, connect plan, a plan where you can actually connect intimately. And you can even create bullet points or little words to describe what that entails. Maybe it's massages, foot rubs, spa day with each other. Maybe it's scalp massages and hugs and kisses. Maybe it's, massages with sex after. Whatever it is, create almost what both of you like, and then create the plan for it. Like, this is 100% okay. It doesn't have to make you feel like it's part of a to-do list. Don't let yourself go there. Don't let yourself think like that. Don't make it something shallow when it's actually something beautiful. It's just, life is life, and things can get crazy, and different people have different ways of processing and doing things. And so sometimes somebody may need a plan, and that doesn't mean that they are lesser of a person or that it doesn't mean as much to them. It's that sometimes they just need to schedule it so that they know what's on the books for the day, so that they can keep their energy for that time. And if that's the case, actually create some energy for that. Like, keep, store up that energy. Do what you got to do. If you need to, go for a walk in the daytime so that, you wake yourselves up, or, you need to have that later day coffee, or, your Red Bull or energy drink or whatever it is, so that you have energy for that person later on, then do it. Or set a reminder on your phone. These are all completely fine and actually should be appreciated more and more, because our lives and this world is getting more and more busy. So structure a plan, and it can look, however it looks to you. And then third, I would say, when the question is who should initiate intimacy, take turns. Take turns. Make it a safe space. By creating a safe space, I mean remove rejection from the table. Come to a little agreement. Kate, we're going to have, we're going to be intimate, whatever it is, 2 times a week, 4 times a week, daily, whatever works for you guys. And then take turns. And don't get hung up on it's my turn, your turn. Just in the daytime, create like this little, can't wait for tonight, babe. Or I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to later. Or, even if it's in the morning, just lean over. If you kind of know it hasn't been your turn for a little while, you've been kind of lacking, in the morning, just lean over and, whisper something sweet into one another's ears. Just when we create safe spaces on taking turns, there can't be rejection. So agree again on the parameters, and then don't reject one another, because when you reject somebody, you really you disconnect. And when you disconnect, you open the door to needing connection elsewhere. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not going to say that this is your fault, but people do need connection. People need to feel desired, appreciated, wanted, intimate, connected, like loved, right? And that looks differently from one person to another person. So really, we need to really create the environment where it's safe to say what you need, safe to say what you desire, safe to say what makes you feel appreciated and loved. All right, so those are my 3 points. I would love to hear what you have to say, because those are just things that I've learned in the last 5 years, and that we've worked through. There have been times, just to backtrack, one little thing to mention is, if there is any kind of physical barrier or mental barrier in the relationship that's strongly affecting your sex life or your intimacy with one another, do the work to get help. Get the physical help, get the mental help. If it is resentment because of hurt, get the help to learn to forgive. If it is actual physical situation, go to the specialist, get the doctor help. During these times when you're getting this help, there are other things that you can do. Connection doesn't have to just be intercourse. There are different levels, and I would strongly advise, in fact, I think it's our responsibility to talk about this situation. if I physically have an ailment where I cannot have intercourse with my husband, it is up to me to talk to him about what I am willing to do and not do. What is painful, what is not painful. If I have a mental setback where I'm frustrated but I want to work through it with him, it's my responsibility to say, all right, I'm really frustrated about this, but I want our relationship to move forward. Let's do this daily. Let's hold hands. Let's hug. Let's kiss. How about I fulfill your needs for this time being while we're getting help? Whatever it is, there has to be communication. There has to be communication, because otherwise all it is rejection. It really is. Or control, or fear, or pain, or whatever it is. But all those things that I just mentioned will actually tear your marriage apart, tear you guys apart. So let's communicate. I'm Dolly, and if this helps you in any way, please like, subscribe, or share this video and to this video on my channel. I really do want our relationships to be amazing, really, for ourselves, for our kids, for our loved ones, for people in our lives, to show them that, marriage